My name is Alex Pennington, and we are the Aspiring Writers United. And today, I'm talking with you on self-editing. Self-editing is what you should do before you send your book to an editor. And it's what you should be doing, really, before you even push publish. Always self-edit. But what is self-editing? Whenever you think of this, you probably just think of grammar. Going, okay, here's some misspelled words. Is my punctuation right? Is my story flowing? Whatever that means. It's actually checking these things yourself opposed to hiring someone. And most people, though, don't really know what this means to actually self-edit. I didn't know what it means. I didn't really know what I was looking for. And so for today's video, before you publish, before you send your book to an editor, I have just a couple of tips for you that I personally struggled with, that whenever I go to edit my books, I look for. And so my first tip for you is chapter lengths. If your chapters are 30, 50 pages or 40 pages, don't do that. Cut them down. Cut them in half. Have your chapters be between 10 and 15 pages, maybe 20 if it's a really important chapter. But the shorter the chapter length, the more the reader will feel like they're actually getting through the book quicker. And with that, always have a cliffhanger at the end of your chapter. And I actually take this tip out of television. I challenge you, go watch any television show, and before that commercial break, you're getting a cliffhanger. Why? Because it gives you a reason to come back and continue watching. This is the same in books. It's giving you a reason to turn the page. But so my next tip, focus on the normal life. We all love explosive, amazing, fast-paced stories. I'm a big fan myself, but you need to slow down in the beginning. Show the ordinary life. Show their average, their day-to-day. And it can be exciting. A lot of fantasy books get around this by having their ordinary life be something scary, something interesting, something that helps you bond with the character. But do show that, because if you don't know what they're like in the beginning, you're not going to be able to understand the change they go through. It's about books that really capitalize on taking a normal person and making them into something different. To just give you guys an example, I love Tokyo Ghoul. I do. It's a great series. And Ken Kaneki, he loves coffee, he's a nerd, he reads books, he's super shy, he gets embarrassed, he's a wimp. He's a dweeb, he's a loser. I'm sorry, but he is. He's just this kind of weak, chill kid. And then he becomes a heartless ghoul that has to cannibalize other ghouls and becomes just this monster. And what's interesting is that it's the innocence becoming a monster, that change. But we only understand that because we know point A. We know what he was like in the beginning, so we can see what he's like in the end. And so you really need to invest a lot of time setting up your normal world. Who is your character? What are they like in the beginning before the action starts? But another tip for you guys is try to cut out your characters just a little bit. What I mean is, don't have too many characters. I personally struggled with this. Everyone needs like 2 friends. Just if this person is not actually adding to the story, cut them out. I personally think in young adult fantasy especially, this is one of the reasons most characters are orphans. Because by taking the parents out of the equation, you save yourself some characters. I know that sounds kind of silly, but it's true. If there are parents in the story with, say, Harry Potter, that they don't want him to go to Hogwarts, or maybe they have some conflict or something, there would be a lot more pages dedicated to them. Instead, they're gone. And we have the Dursleys, which add conflict, and it's a very conflicting normal life, which is what you want. That's why that works so well, because it's Harry's normal life, and it's a source of conflict. It's like you're getting a double dose. It's great. My other tip for you guys is to have a quality antagonist. Have your villain want goals. Nobody does bad things for nothing. I mean, yes, some people do, but not in books. Or at least they shouldn't. Have them have a goal. Have the villain see themselves as the hero of the story. That will make a much better antagonist. My favorite example of this is Pain from Naruto. If anyone watches Naruto, they know what I'm talking about. He was like the main villain, killed Naruto's master, but he was right about his philosophy. Like what he wanted to do, the man was right. And actually, Naruto coming into conflict with him and even going, I can't prove him wrong. That was a serious plot point and was just an amazing scene. And for the record, the villain was still right in the end. When we look at how the series actually ended, he was right. And that's good. You want the villain to be right. Because if they're just wrong, it's like they're just being stupid. And nobody wants a stupid villain. The villain always should be smarter and more powerful than the main character. So the character has to grow. The main character must change and become better to face the villain. And so you have your great protagonist. You've got a good villain. You have cliffhangers. My final tip for you guys is to really cash in on character interactions. Have the characters mean something to each other. Don't have them be just pieces around the board. Have them actually be involved in the story. Never have a side character who's just there and not really doing anything. Every single character should have a plot. They should have drives. They should have motivation. And I challenge you guys, if you're outlining, which you should outline. That's personally a big tip for me. Outline your story. Give them character arcs. How is this side character going to be different at point B than he was at point A? Draw the character arc. And actually write down their drive. What is their motivation? What is making them do this? What's making them go on this quest? Go through this journey of change? Outline it out. Write it out. It matters. What are your guys' tips for self-editing? You know, if I hit all these things, and yes, grammar and writing is super important, but if you introduce the ordinary world, your character's going through change, you have a great villain, your characters are actually going through arcs, you are going to have such a leg up on other writers. And it's so important that you guys do this self-check, because if you're like me and you don't do a great job at this, I did not do a very good job at the ordinary world, your editor is going to call you out for it and say, hey, this ain't right. And they will be right. And I can guarantee you, when they say, hey, this is not working, you're going to look at that and go, oh yeah, I see why that's not working. You're right. I suppose I did just skip the ordinary world and jump into the action without really explaining everything. And I have one more bonus tip for you guys. I just remembered it, but I think it's important. If you are writing with a magic system, magic of any type in your story, over-explain it. You cannot over-explain it too much. I know what you're thinking. The reader will get bored. But trust me, they might get a little bit bored, but at least they will know what's going on. Because if you don't explain the magic system and you just jump into it, they're going to be trying to figure out, okay, why is this happening? What are the rules? What's going on here? And so just to over-explain it a little bit. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, share this video, and thank you all for listening.